Marcel, first off, on this Japan data, what we heard from the BOJ, do you feel, despite the fact that they did take down their forecast for inflation for this year, are they still too optimistic that they're going to be able to stoke that inflation in Japan?
Yeah, we think they're still too optimistic. Their forecast for this year is around 1.5%. We think it will probably be closer to 0.5%. I think the key problem is still that the tight labor market is not generating wage gains strong enough to reach the target. At the moment, we're having wage gains of 0.5%, and even if the unemployment rate falls further towards 2.5%, as we expect over the coming years,
right,
this would on past form be only consistent with inflation of around 1% or wage growth of 1%.
Marcel, I just want to, I guess to illustrate this point, take a look at this chart on the Bloomberg 8007. It shows even though we are seeing core CPI just ticking up, slowly but steadily, you're actually seeing, judging by that 10-year break even, that inflation expectations are actually falling. So we've seen extraordinary methods and levels of stimulus from the BOJ, from policymakers. Is it just this sense of animal spirits that's preventing inflationary pressures? And is it just really that it's hard to shake so many years of a deflationary mindset?
Well, the economy is clearly recovering, and I think we will probably get some pretty strong growth this year. We have our growth forecast is 1.5% for this year, which is stronger than the consensus. But you're right, the problem is shaking off this deflationary mindset that's prevailed for a long time, and there are no signs that this is happening. I mean, in fact, the 5-year inflation expectations of households are at the 7-year low. Companies expect prices to rise by just 1% over the next 5 years, which is lower than a couple of years ago. So there's really no evidence that the Bank of Japan is having success in dispelling this type of thinking.
Marcel, yesterday at the press conference, Governor Kuroda noted not only that wages were rising, but he sees signs they're rising at small and medium enterprises, which certainly would be a healthy sign. Granted, this is going to take a long time. What is the risk for the Bank of Japan? It seems to me it's asymmetric. They're certainly not going to raise rates right now or stop buying bonds. He said they're going to do a lot of stimulus. They can't really do much more. So are they actually doing the best they can, which is just to say we're going to get inflation. It is gradually rising. And to get that mindset in the mind of the Japanese people and businesses, that the Bank of Japan is determined to get there and add at least that much to this effort to finally get prices rising as the economy is definitely getting stronger, as you say.
Yeah, I think they are probably doing the best that they can. Last year, they would have probably, there was a chance to do a bit more when inflation was negative. They didn't do that. I think they were too concerned about the impact of negative rates on the banking system, on banks' willingness to lend. I don't think these concerns were necessarily justified because banks remain extraordinarily willing to lend despite the negative interest rates. But at the moment, with inflation picking up slowly, they're probably quite confident or quite comfortable with what they're doing. And at the same time, it's clearly far too early to think about the exit, as Governor Kuroda rightly said. Inflation is simply not picking up fast enough to allow to do that.